Welcome. I'd like to call the July 13th, Tuesday, special meeting of the Oklahoma City Metropolitan Area Public Schools Trust. And the first order of business will be to elect a chairman pro tem in the absence of our chairman and vice chairman. Do I hear a motion?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Kerry Decker.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
All those in favor, please use the voting machine. It's unanimous.
Got on a quick meeting.
All right. I believe the next order of business is to approve the minutes of the June 15th, 2010 Oklahoma City Metropolitan Area Public Schools Trust meeting. Any discussion on the minutes? Have a motion?
Move approval.
Second?
Second.
We'll vote. Motion passes. Next, we need to move into our suburban request for funding. Agenda 3A is the approve the application of funding for the Moore Public School District scoreboard at Moore High School in the amount of $596,669. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only additional information I might add is at the time of the application, there's about $1.3 million in the Moore Public School account. This will have a remaining balance of $757,000 for future project applications. The application meets the requirements of the MOU, and we recommend approval.
Do we need to approve these individually, or can we do it all as a group?
Individually.
All right.
I'll make the motion, Mr.
To
Chairman.
the second
Quick question.
item. Look, I have a question.
Do all three schools play at the same stadium?
My understanding is that they do, that they have one primary stadium, but I can confirm that. The answer is yes.
Well, we're going to approve these as a group, I believe, aren't we?
Right, and we have a motion. We need a second to the motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, then we'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now, do we need to move on to B and C?
No, that included.
That included? We don't need any discussion on any of those, huh? Okay. Next are the financial reports. The first item, receive the fiscal year 2010-2011 Oklahoma City Metropolitan Area Public School Sales Tax Fund Budget. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a budget that we do receive annually. This is a budget that's already been approved by the City Council. Total budget amount is $1,410,262. It's predominantly for the MAPS office operations. It includes several components, which includes personnel services in the amount of $791,000, other related services for $402,000, $41,000 in supplies, and then there's also included $175,000 funds transfer to the MAPS Trust to be used for community outreach services. You may find that this is less than last year's budget for the MAPS office. We have now extended the MAPS office to also include MAPS 3, and so there are two funds now being provided to fund the office personnel. So again, we're seeing some shared resources in those two regards, but there is separate funding that's accounted for MAPS 3. The MAPS for Kids funding is kept separate. That would be the only change that we would see this year, and we're recommending your acceptance in receipt of the document.
An example of that would be Mr. Winger's salary, which has always been paid 100% out of the MAPS for Kids, and is now being partly paid out of MAPS for Kids and partly being paid out of MAPS 3 funds. Yes. Because Eric is also taking on that responsibility, so he's not full. Right, so he is not full-time on MAPS for Kids these days. That's correct. Laid off a little overhead.
Any further questions or discussions?
Mr.
Motion, need a
Chairman.
second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries.
Just to further that discussion a little bit, a number of people will be multitasking and doing tasks in both Maps for Kids and Maps 3 as we ramp up Maps 3 and we ramp down Maps for Kids over the
The second item under financial reports is the adoption of the Oklahoma City Metropolitan Area Public Schools Trust budget for the fiscal year 2010 and 11.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is also a budget that we review and adopt annually. You'll find that the amount this upcoming year is $271,445,675. There's $410,000 that's included as a part of the actual trust budget. It's two components of this that include the community outreach services. It also includes the annual audit contract as well. The largest portion of the budget is for ID9. It's $253,138,446, and this is for a variety of services. This includes project management, but mostly it includes design and construction associated with the actual schools projects. The last item that's included is $17,897,000 for the suburban school projects, and again, that's to round out that total. We're fully budgeted for this year, and we're recommending approval.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We'll call the vote. All those in favor?
We're
Outstanding. The item passes.
Okay.
Next, we'll move into our projects.
Mr. Chairman, we'd recommend that the next two items, Eric, both be continued until the January 20th meeting. The school board did not take action on this at their last meeting. We anticipate they'll take action on it on the 19th, and then we will hear it again on our next meeting on July 20th.
All right, we'll move items A and B to the next meeting. Do we have a motion to move those?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor of moving those items to the next meeting?
Aye.
Please show your vote. Thank you. Motion carries. The next item, item 6 on the agenda, is the approval of the schematic design report for project ES0063 at Arthur Elementary School.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're pleased to bring this schematic design to you today. It is Arthur Elementary. Boynton Williams and Associates is here representing this project and can make that presentation and also answer any questions that you may have.
I'm Christian Ballard, project architect at Boynton Williams Associates. I'm here to give our schematic design presentation for Arthur Elementary. Arthur Elementary is an elementary school located at 51st, Southwest 51st and Independence, and our task is through new construction and a complete renovation to bring this facility up to contemporary standards. 604 students. The existing facility is, sorry, I forgot about my remote. The existing facility is roughly 34,000 square feet, and we're proposing 24,685 square feet of addition. The new addition will include media center, health clinic, administration, new restrooms, information technology, as all of your projects do. We have had our staff meetings, our teacher meetings, our community meetings, and we're here to present the scope of the project and also some input from them. Again, the new addition includes items such as previously stated mechanical systems. In addition to those, renovation items include playground equipment. This is skipping forward, I'm sorry. Which way is backwards? All right, I apologize for that. Once again, I'll start over. The new addition will include an administration area, student health services, information technology, and restrooms, which was a big thing for the staff. Renovations include window replacement, window blinds, lighting upgrades, additional exterior parking, paint throughout, and plumbing upgrades. This right here, Scheme C, is our recommended site plan. The pros of this include a drop-off in the location right there on the southwest portion of the new addition, and it's a very compact design. We're adding 21 parking spaces and increasing the parent drop-off area. A con of this plan, of this design plan, is that there are some temporary classrooms that are going to have to be relocated. This right here, our Scheme C, again, you can see that the floor plan there, down on the bottom right in the green, is the new administration area, which is right by the parent drop-off. We have a central media center. We've added areas for faculty restrooms. Currently, there was one toilet that the entire building shared, and it was very difficult for the teachers in the remote spaces to get to there and monitor their students at the same time. Again, the administrative space we're adding is roughly 2,000 square feet. Student services, roughly 300 square feet. The health clinic, again, roughly 300 square feet. Total classroom additions, I think we're adding 16 classrooms, and that totals 10,300 roughly square feet. The new media center, the existing media center, is in 2 classrooms that were initially designed that way and broken up into a media center. It's definitely not a contemporary look, and we've added a new centralized media center. As you can see, we've also added some faculty restrooms. Again, the existing facility is roughly 34,000 square feet. The new addition, 24,600 some odd square feet, for a total facility square footage of 58,679 square feet. Our cost estimate here is for the new addition, roughly $3.5 million. For the renovation, roughly $2 million. You see right there, we're a little bit under our PIP budget estimate. And we're right here in schematic design, and if approved, we're ready to start on preliminary design and continue on with the process. So again, I'll entertain any questions that you have.
Any questions or discussion?
Cost per square foot on the new construction, what is it running today? Cost per square foot?
I don't actually recall that amount.
Okay.
I'm sorry? Okay.
Do we have a motion to approve the schematic design for Arthur Elementary?
Move approval.
Second? Second. Call it to a vote. All in favor, please. Schematic design passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move in to the final plans and specifications. Agenda item A, approve the final plans and specifications for Eugene Field Elementary School and authorize the secretary to advertise for bids to be received August 17, 2010, project ES 0050. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the first of 3 final plans for your consideration today on the trust meeting. It is Eugene Field Elementary. We do have representatives from TAP Architecture to make this presentation and answer any questions that you have. This is one that is within the budget as well, and of course they'll make those notes and comments when they get to that portion.
Good afternoon. I'm Scott Parker with TAP Architecture. We're located at 415 North Broadway near downtown Oklahoma City. Happy to present to you the Eugene Field final plan presentation. I'll give a project overview and present some items and then open it up for questions. Generally speaking, I will mention that this project is very unique. It was an earth-bermed semi-underground structure. As part of that, there was a previously approved early bid roof package that is currently under construction, and it will be complete August 1st. I should mention that in the rain event that happened recently, the amazing thing is that even though the roof is only halfway done, there were no leaks within the building, so I'm happy to mention that. Continuing on for the project that is most pertinent right now, the remodel portion of this project, the Eugene Field is at 1515 North Klein in Oklahoma City. And this project has no building addition. It is only interior renovation with a few site modifications. We're also completely modifying the air conditioning system as it was not up to date in any way, and it was causing humidity problems. We're also updating finishes, as is typical with the MAPS renovation. We're also updating the restrooms to be ADA compliant. On the site area, there are a few things that we're modifying. That is ADA parking. We're also adding an accessible ramp to the playground, which currently is not. There's no good accessible way to reach the playground, so we can do this directly from the building with a new ramp. We're adding more than five, actually. There's 5 windows that are expressed on this facade, a total of 11 on the facility. These are going to increase the amount of light into the facility. As I mentioned, it's semi-underground. Additional light will really improve the quality of the lower level of the building. The first floor, the most underground portion, we're doing some modification to reutilize what was the cafeteria space, putting classrooms in that space and some other support functions, moving the cafeteria to what was the gymnasium space. We're also removing an existing ramp, and in its place putting in a stair and an elevator. As I understand it, this was the only 2-story school that did not have an elevator, so as part of this package it will. For security, just show a few blown-up views here. For security, we're doing some modifications in the office so we can greater see who is coming in and out of the building. This is a blown-up area of the new stair and elevator location, centrally located so that it can be seen from the front office. On the second floor, most of the classrooms stay in the same location, but some modifications were made. The main thing that we have done is move the computer lab upstairs. It was separate from the media center located downstairs, so we've pulled those together in a central location in the plan, and you can see the 4 restroom cores that we are modifying in that level and the areas of the new stair and elevator. The project budget is $3.98 million. Our current estimate is $3.950 million, so we are currently under budget at this time. As I mentioned, the roof already bid and under construction will be complete August 1st, barring some rain days. The remodel project hopes to bid, if approved, on August 17th. And be constructed around, or be finalized around November of 2011. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Any questions regarding the final plans?
Can you tell us if there were any requests made by staff or the community that are not incorporated in this plan?
We were able to incorporate, I believe, most every one of those. A lot of those were updated restrooms, and even a key card access specifically was something that was a good addition. There were none that we were unable to satisfy, except knocking the building down and building a brand new.
Any further questions? Do we have a motion to accept the plans?
I move we
So
approve.
moved. Second?
Second.
Second. We'll call the item to vote. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item is approve the plans, the final plans and specifications for Northwest Claflin High School, and authorize the secretary to advertise 4 bids to be received August 10th, 2010, project ES 0078.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a few items that I'll bring to your attention. You'll notice that in your memo, the bid date has been revised. It was anticipated approval last week, and we have on the reschedule revised that bid date to August 10th from August 3rd. That bid date will be reflected in an addendum They'll be issued to the potential bidders, and that addendum will come back for your approval when we recommend a contract for construction. The other item, just as a reminder, is this was one of the projects that we converted from a bond-funded project to a sales tax project. So you'll see that it's in the latest version of the program implementation plan. It's also why it has a sales tax project number. And so this is one of the projects that we're using to help offset the deficit that's currently projected in the bond fund to allow us to have a positive balance when all the projects are complete. We do have a representative here from Craft & Toll and Sparks to make the presentation and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Eric. My name is Dana Templeton. I'm with Craft & Toll Sparks. This is just going to be a brief presentation for approval of the CD and the specs. There were 5 major things that we tried to touch on with the design for Northwest Classen, which happens to be only a building remodel, an interior remodel, no exterior additions. We wanted to make sure that all parts of the building met the code. We needed to definitely address accessibility requirements. We wanted to meet district standards, update and any interior spaces to make them look a little more current. The original building was built completed in '56, I believe, and we wanted to do some repairs to the field house for their sports complex. Under code requirements, we had to upgrade the mechanical system. We needed to add a fire suppression system. There were some accessibility issues. We're also putting in a new alarm system, fire alarm system. Under accessibility requirements, lots of chairlifts had to be added as it was a school with multiple levels. The gymnasium, which had 5 levels, will now be accessible at all levels. All the restrooms are reconfigured to accept a handicap accessible compartment. We're getting a new elevator. Ramps will be added at the field house so that people who are wheelchair or handicapped need to get to the stands. And there will be some site improvements, meaning sidewalk repairs and stuff like that, where wheelchairs would not be able to traverse. As far as district standards, there were some guidelines according to that needed to be addressed, such as making sure that everybody has marker boards instead of chalkboards. When it says upgrade kitchen access, I think what they're meaning was something that had more to do with accessibility, but however, we are getting a new vent hood in there, which is extremely needed. Casework for science classrooms, computer cabling, and upgrading the security system. As for the interior spaces, all classrooms and corridors will get new paint. The existing corridors are now terrazzo, so they'll be left as they are. We'll be adding wayfinding areas, which will help with the longevity of the halls. It's an extremely huge building. It's 277,000 plus square feet. It's long linear, and we're going to use wayfinding areas to help freshmen and to just kind of break up the long lengths. New floors. In all the classrooms, we'll be removing the VAT and replacing it with VCT. The principal has requested 1,000 new lockers, and there will be some really nice upgrades to the auditorium to bring it up to current standards. Also, as far as the auditorium goes, we'll be putting in a basic theatrical package that will allow for some upgrades that may be done in the near future, which will be money that will be donated by the Friends of Northwest Classen. And the field house repairs, all the seating, it's basically a concrete building. They'll be patched. All new plumbing fixtures, all new windows, all new doors, interior and exterior paint. And as far as the tennis courts go, that's been added as an alternate in the bid package. As far as the budget, our budget was 12.9 plus. The Phase 3 estimate came in at 13.29. 5.5 million plus is going to mechanical, electrical, plumbing data, very extensive. As you can see, the rest is basically the general conditions. There's a little bit of demo, site work, very little shell work because we're not doing much of anything. The shell work basically is flipping doors for handicap accessibility and adding walls to create family accessible bathrooms. Interior work basically encompasses paint and flooring. We are putting on a new roof, or a portion of a new roof. Most of that was done about 2 summers ago. Window replacement, a must. And then the $1.2 million for the auditorium and field house, $338. Any questions?
Any questions or discussion regarding Northwest Classen?
On the budgeting?
You said chairlifts and elevators?
Yes, sir. The elevator will take you from the first floor, or the main first level, to the second first level. However, there are several intermittent levels that kids can't even get to if you're wheelchair bound. So right now there are 2 existing lifts, and we're going to be adding 5 and replacing those 2.
You just kind of go along the side of the stairs.
It's only like a 7 or 8 foot level difference.
Yeah.
But yes, it does mount to the wall, flips up when it's not in use, flips down and rolls down.
Thank you.
Claudia?
Yes, my recollection is that we're going to have to displace some of the student population
Correct.
while this construction was going on.
Right.
Can you tell me where they will be? Will it be on the premises? Have we made arrangements?
Yes, it'll be on premises. The square foot per student ratio in this school is one of the largest in the city. There's plenty of room for them to be relocated. We've got phasing plans created that will be going out with the bid documents. And once that is done, the principal has put together a committee, and they will meet with the contractors and our estimators, and we'll finalize, or really based on what the contractor sees this work being done, finalize that plan and gel it. But actually, some teachers will be displaced during their conference hour, and a class will be held in there. So there will be no need for any temporary housing, no moving anywhere. There's plenty of room.
Okay, and the community and parents are all aware of this?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know about the community. Yes, the community is actually. Parents, the ones that were in attendance, I'm sure will know.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Anthony?
You mentioned improvements to be made to the auditorium. Could you talk a little more in detail about that? You said a theater package. Is that lighting or sound?
Well, it's a basic. We're doing a fundamental basic theater package, which is basically new lights. Actually, if you've been in this school, it's got a really scary ceiling. It's cellulose. It's 60-year-old cellulose. It's got some lighting booths that are going to be removed, new acoustical panels put in the ceiling, catwalks will be removed, and then there will be lighting and sound, but it's just basic, but it'll have components that will allow for future improvements or upgrading. According to Friends of Northwest class, and they want a very high-end package to be added on to what we have, to the point to where large venues can be held there as fundraisers or whatever, but they're wanting a total package of level 4 venue. So right now the basic package is new lights, new acoustical panels on the walls, new ceiling, and I think we've got in there maybe as an alternate new stage floor, which is pretty well termite ridden.
So I assume that the project that will be done by Maps for Kids is sort of the infrastructure that would support that.
Well, I think like we like to call it, is just a fundamental package that can be built on top of. But yes, it is. It's just a basic package it's the same package that the district standards require us to provide in any auditorium. So.
Thank you. Are the Friends of Northwest class going to raise this money concurrently, or are they just out?
Yes, I think they started about a year ago, and they had a huge fundraiser in September, their annual golf tournament, and I think they're well on their way.
Okay.
I would say halfway.
Good.
And this is a schedule summary, but all these dates need to be moved back a week. And I think the August 10th date does reflect the new bid date. Oh.
Any further questions? Do we have a motion to approve the plans? So moved. Second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
We'll call the motion to a vote. Vote, please.
Oops.
The item passes. Thank you very much. The next item we have is approve the final plans and specifications for Sequoia Elementary School and authorize the secretary to advertise for bids to be received August 3rd, 2010, project ES0055. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is our last presentation for you this afternoon, and it does also have the revised bid date. I know that there is a discrepancy in your memo, but that will be taken care of as a part of the addendum package. So again, as we look at the schedule slides and such, you may need to add a week to all those timeframes as we go into the bidding phase. Glover Smith Bodie is our architect of record for the project. We do have a representative here to make that presentation and, again, answer any questions that you might have.
Good afternoon. My name is James Ligon. I'm with GSB, architect on Sequoia Elementary. And I want to thank everybody for your time and consideration today. Sequoia Elementary was, we are converting the existing school facility to house also sixth grade as well as the existing population, increasing the population to 494 students, and constructing a little over 16,000 square foot addition, as well as renovating most of the existing building itself. Among the renovation objectives are enhancing the appearance, updating finishes, improve life safety, technology upgrades. One of the things that was key to the community was maintaining and respecting the historic character of the original architecture, and we were charged with that. The new addition has classrooms, art, restrooms, cafeteria, stage, and additional storage for the facility. Within the renovated spaces, we're including new classrooms, music room, restrooms, a renovated media center, and providing special needs areas and areas for staff. This is the existing site plan. You'll notice the portion to the north that is bordered by the red dashed line is the existing building footprint. Below that to the south near the running track are existing portable buildings that are currently in use today. The site is bordered on the north by Northwest 36th Street, and on the right to the east is Altadena, and on the south is Northwest 35th Street. The original building, the portion to the very far north, was first floor built in 1930 with the second floor added in 1940. The two wings stretching to the south were built in 1948 and 1949. One of the key elements of the design is to reestablish the front facade along 36th as the main facade of the building. Originally, it was accessed by pedestrians, and that was how you got to the building. But with vehicular traffic, we sort of abandoned that very nice historic front. And the black arrow you see to the south off what we call the butterfly wing, which would be the southwest portion of the main part of the building, that has sort of become the front door, which is actually the back door. And as you can see, to the west, there's a long distance between the drop-off lane and where the students have to come in. So they have to traverse that in bad weather and all situations. Two other key elements of the existing site is the odd-shaped courtyard that appears in there, which is rather unsightly and is a safety hazard, as you cannot monitor that area back inside the building. To the northeast of the site, where you see the orange dashed lines along Altadena, that is a major drop-off and pickup point for the younger students, and there's double parking on both sides of the street, and young children dart in and out between parked cars, and we've been told of some fistfights among parents and so forth. So that's been one of our charges in that, and those are key elements to understanding as we move forward. In the scope of the renovation, there are numerous items from the exterior, and I'll try to be brief here, but upgrades from an ADA standpoint, new parking and drive to solve some of their site circulation issues, and touch-up, fix-up, new equipment within the classrooms and administrative areas. And there are systems upgrades, and in particular, we're adding an elevator so that all of the spaces within the existing building are ADA accessible. Additional scope items include, on your list there, refinishing the wood floors, fire sprinkler system throughout the entire building, fire alarm upgrade, new lighting and ceilings throughout, security screen removals, they will not be needed anymore, removing the existing piping systems that have been abandoned, and key is the north entry drive and visitor parking to reestablish that front. We have two alternates, the on-street parking on Altadena and some additional equipment in the kitchen that would be nice to have if at all possible. This is the design with the new site plan. You see the portion bordered in red at the top. That is the existing building footprint. Everything outside of that is new construction. You can see that we've created a courtyard in the center of the mass. There is an infill portion of new construction at the north end of the courtyard. And the blue portions below our additions with the connector forming the fourth side of the courtyard. The portable buildings that are currently in use are to the south. Key elements to this is it reestablishes through the north drive and parking for visitors the front of the building, and then to the southwest you can see the black arrow indicating a shorter distance for pickup and drop-off, and there's a covered porch as part of our program to protect them in inclement weather. This is the floor plan. Level 2 is to the left, and that is bordered by red, indicating that it's existing footprint or existing envelope. To the right, you'll see the first level, and that is also bordered in red. Everything outside of that is new construction. To the very top of the diagram on the first floor, you'll see the existing main entry. Directly across from that in the light blue is the new administration area, which will be able to monitor that entry. The green spaces that you see are classrooms, and to the far right, you'll see a new media center and computer lab. To the south of that is the kitchen expansion, and to the south of that is the new addition with the cafeteria and stage. Moving to the left, you'll see the new classroom addition. The second floor, it houses classrooms, some special needs areas, and in the blue, some additional staff areas and workroom. We've rendered some of the exterior elevations here for you to look at. The top is the north elevation along 36th Street, which remains pretty much as it is. There's a new handicap ramp to the left, the far left, which gives access to that portion of the building, and we've kept with the historic character and the materials there. The middle is the west elevation, indicating the new addition to the right and the covered porch, and you can see that that sort of anchors the architecture, and it caps off the end of the butterfly wing, as we call it, which is the geometry is a departure from the existing architecture, and it alleviates that great concern of the community and helps anchor that. We've also tried to pick up some details as well. The south elevation is shown on the bottom. You see that to the left is the porch, the classroom wing, the connector, and then the back of the stage. The back of the stage is where a future gymnasium will be added, and that's currently in the works through the bond program, I believe it is. We have made provisions in that wall and in the structure for an easy acceptance of that future addition. Try to buy some things now, make it easier in the future. This slide just represents the corridor pattern of the vinyl composition tile. The school is named after Sequoia, and it tries to pick up on some of the Indian artwork and a reference to Indian beadery that would be appropriate for that school. This slide represents the interior color finishes, paint, tile colors, and so forth. The warm colors, the oranges and yellows, are sort of the existing interior and picks up on that. The blue are the school colors, and we were trying to achieve a balance in those. Schedule, we have completed all the way through final plans and specifications, and those are ready for bidding now. Upon approval would be July this month. Construction is anticipated to start September of 2010 with an estimated completion date of December 2011. There we go. The original construction budget was a little over $4.3 million. Currently, we sit at a renovation of 1.9, the new addition at just over 2.6 for a total construction cost of a little over $4.5 million. There are the two alternates I mentioned before, the east on-street parking and the additional kitchen equipment. Does anyone have any questions?
On the north part, is there going to be, you said they're going to make parking, and that's still going to be an entrance? On the north part?
Yes, I'll try to go back to that site plan here. There is parking, new visitor parking, and it also functions as an additional drop-off.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
You see, there's a new drive, and that's also going to function as well for a drop-off area for the pre-kindergarten. I didn't go into all that, but the far northwest corner of the building mass is the current pre-kindergarten, and they love that space, and in the design we were able to keep that. So there's a third space where you can direct traffic. To be more detailed, once they drop off on the far southwest, they're going to turn left and exit to the west. which is what they're supposed to be doing now, but because of some other functional issues with their drives, it isn't working very well. So we work that out through the staff and the administrators.
Could you repeat that? They're going to enter from the southwest?
They will enter from the northeast and go south down Altadena. There will be no drop-off or pickup along Altadena. They continue south to the south portion of the site, and they queue along 35th. They will turn north through the drive. They will drop off up near the building where the black arrow is, and then they will turn left. Now, north of that is teacher parking, and we have a controlled entry off of 36th, which will not allow during drop-off and pickup times for people to want to queue off of 36. We work that out with the traffic at the city, and there's a control gate that they are going to drop during those times. Currently, they have to stand out and do a lot of monitoring with umbrellas and the weather and so forth. So we've worked very closely with the school administration on all of these, and we've met with the city. And there's currently a variance for some of those issues and a new curb cut and the parking off of Altadena, the on-street parking, and it's in the works through the city. No, that is existing. Yes.
Question?
So just to confirm, you've worked it out so there will be minimal disruption from a traffic perspective on 36th Street and made it really clear. Because I think the other concern I would have is just from a safety standpoint, if people are trying to drop off there.
They will not be allowed to enter the circulation path from 36. There's actually a gate arm that comes down, and they're going to place cones there just during the pickup and drop-off time. Once that occurs, then they raise it and they can use it. And it's a manual system. There's no electricity required, but the school is very happy with that.
Can you expand on how the enclosed courtyard is going to improve security a little bit more for me?
Well, let me be clear. It's not an enclosed courtyard in that it has a roof. However, if you see the infill portion there, currently, you see that zigzag in there? Anyone can hide in there. There's places behind current boiler flues and things. You know, it's an issue from just a monitoring standpoint. So when you block it off, it's a controlled courtyard.
That's what I meant by enclosed. It's kind of. You can't get
That is
to it at
correct.
all.
You would have to climb over the roof. It's a typical courtyard, yes.
Thank you.
And there is a security system that, you know, should there be any Spider-Man issues, or someone getting in, you know, that's part of the design, yes.
Any further questions?
Okay, you mentioned the desire to sort of emphasize the north face, the old main entry of the school.
Yes.
And looking at this slide, you have an arrow pointing to that north face. How does that get emphasized?
Well, because there is parking and because visitors, one of the challenges now, if you're not very familiar with the school, you sort of drive around the block trying to figure out where to go and where to get in. By being able to come directly off of 36th and park there in the front of the building, you know where to go, and there's obviously if you look at the north elevation, there's a grand sort of historic entry at that point, and it's very obvious. The problem is now there's nowhere to park anywhere near that, so you don't know where to queue, and you kind of go in the back.
And I should say, you know, the reason for my comments is during the hailstorm last month, I was driving and seeking refuge from the hail, and I found myself in Sequoia's parking lot trying to get under something. And while I was sitting there, I did notice the grand, what you're talking about. It really is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
So I would hope that becomes an emphasis of the project and that desire. You on your slide 3, you say clean exterior masonry. But I think that's very important, and I hope that'll be emphasized in the project.
We are pressure washing the entire exterior face of existing. I'm sorry, I was trying to be brief. I know there's a lot on the agenda, but we are pressure washing the entire exterior face, trying to clean that up. And in inclement weather, that porch that we worked out with the administrators and staff is going to be very critical so the kids don't have to do what they're doing now.
Eric, I noticed on the memo that it says we're within budget but the estimate we saw was a little bit over, I believe. Do we need to adjust that?
When the final estimate did come in and we received that, it is in error, and we're approximately 200 plus over that budget. It's some additional roofing requirements that are included in there, and of course we've suffered some of the same fate of other projects. There's some ceilings that require replacement that could not be salvaged. So those all go into those costs. We're optimistic that the bid climate will be favorable, but if not, we do have some contingency funds available. We did not find any other areas of the project that we were willing to cut at this time, meeting the basic standards of the school's design.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Do I have a motion to approve the project?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Call the motion to a vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 8 is the approval of the architectural services contract with Richard L. Calvin Architect PC, doing business as Calvin Design Group for Spencer Elementary School in the amount of $385,000 and assign, is it GW squared or 2?
Squared.
Squared. I thought it was. GW Squared Engineering, Inc. and Intercon Services, Inc. as testing laboratories, project ES0065.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're pleased to bring this contract to you for Spencer Elementary. Calvin is a repeat architect. They have previously performed on Gatewood and Hillcrest. Negotiations were successful, and we are recommending this contract for approval.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Motion, second. All right, we'll call the motion to a vote. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next, we'll move into the change orders. The first being approve the change order number 9 for Adams Elementary School, an increase of $2,371.43. Project ES0023. Eric?
Thank you. This project has actually been complete for some time, and we've struggled with completing the punch list work at the school. This is a final change order to add a roof access ladder that was required by code for maintenance on one of the rooftop units. It's a total of $2,371. It is required. It already has been installed by the contractor. This is the last item before final acceptance, and we are recommending approval.
Any discussion?
So moved.
So moved. Second?
Second.
Call it to a vote, please. Let's turn it off. Motion carries. The next change order is approved change order number 2 for Lee Elementary School, an increase of $106,726.90. Project number ES0034.
Thank you. We're about 50% complete on the construction of Lee Elementary School. This is only the second change order, but obviously very significant. There was a historical theater that's being converted in this school to classroom space. It was a theater that was no longer used. It was multi-level. It had an upper deck. It had a sloped floor. Architects, with their structural engineer during the analysis of the project, did their best to try to determine what was behind some of the finishes. When it was in construction and during demolition, several surprises were found that required correction before we could actually convert those space to the classrooms as shown. The existing slope floor had to be replaced with a level floor. Some other structural modifications were required. It's a significant cost, but it is actually a very large space. And so even though it's being converted to multiple classrooms, it was, again, a large theater. It's necessary work for us to proceed, and we are recommending approval.
Thank you. Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Call the motion to a vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Item C is approve the change order number 1 for Lindenwood Elementary School, an increase of $47,328, project ES0046.
Thank you. This project's only 10% complete, and again, we've got a very significant change order with $47,000 with very little work being done. Early in the demolition phase, and as we were preparing the site for the new addition, there was an old asphalt parking lot that was discovered that was just several feet under the existing earth, and so it was an unforeseen condition that the architect had no knowledge of. The cost to remove that asphalt was $35,000. We had a second item where there was a gas line that also was not easily identified, and it was beneath the new addition that had to also be relocated at an additional cost of $12,000. These two items also have been performed and required for us to proceed, and we're recommending approval on the project.
Any discussion? I'll take a motion. So moved. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Call the item to a vote. The motion carries. Thank you. The fourth change order is approve the change order number 3 for Pierce Elementary School, an increase of $35,719, project ES0041.
Pierce is nearly complete. Over 90% of the work has been done. There are 10 items on this change order. There's no increase in time for the extra work. There are a few that are significant that I'll bring to your attention. Item number 1, which is some plumbing replacement for some deteriorated pipe in some of the renovated restrooms. Item number 4 is a stage curtain replacement for 6931. There were existing curtains that were thought to be salvageable, but we're finding that they just could not be repaired, and so this replaces them. There's also an item that is a district-requested item, was an item that we could not originally include, but there's a logo that we were able to place in the vinyl tile at the main entry, the Pierce Panther, $5,228. It's also included as a part of this change. This is anticipated to be hopefully one of, if not the last change orders for the project, as it's to be opened in the next month. Total changes are about 4.6% on the project, and we recommend approval.
Is this project on budget? Is it over? Is it on budget?
We usually shoot for 6% or less, and so we're under the amount that's provided for contingency, but we're over the original contract by about 4%.
Over by 4, but under 6.
But we have budgeted up to 6 for changes, yes.
Okay. So I guess we do the logo. Okay.
Any additional questions? I'll take a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second? Second. Call the item to a vote. Item carries. Thank you. The final change order is approved change order number 4 for Wilson Elementary School, an increase of $113,787, project ES0015.
Thank you. This is our final change order for your consideration today. Wilson's also nearly complete. Over 95% of the work has been done. There's 8 items, and there's also 14 additional days as requested on this change. Many of these are in the closeout phases. This is in the renovations of the existing building. It was found that we were not able to place vinyl composition tile over the existing wood floors. We studied 2 options. One was to put a new substrate material down to allow that tile to be placed. The other was to refinish the existing wood floors. The cheaper was to finish the existing wood floors, and so the cost of $31,530 is for that change. There's some drainage issues that surfaced during construction that we were able to correct. That's item number 2 for $15,793. Item number 4 is significant. It was an item that we weren't originally able to award as a part of the original construction contract. We were scheduled to keep the existing floors. They were in good condition, but they weren't in great condition. They also weren't color compatible with the new design. Item number 4 and item number 5 replaces all of the flooring in the existing building to match that of the new addition. We've done this similarly on the Horace Mann project once we were assured that most of the changes that were going to be required as a part of the construction project were complete. And then item number 7 is some missing millwork that was identified in the plan as we were doing some final reviews with school staff. I'll bring your attention to the last item, number 8. These are some additional Wilson Arts improvements included by this change order, but not as a part of the Maps for Kids funding. This is money that is being provided through the Wilson Arts Fund that has been deposited with the trust. The changes are required, and we do recommend approval.
Any discussion on this change order?
I'm sorry, the Wilson Art Fund Trust, that was totaling around $700,000 or something.
It's in that, I don't recall the exact amount, but that's very close. It's between $600,000 and $700,000 that they deposited for 4 additional classrooms.
That money's been spent.
The classrooms are complete, and we've reserved a contingency for change orders, and so this will come out of the Wilson Arts contingency.
Okay. I'll make the motion.
Any further questions, or a second?
Second.
Second. Have a second. Call the item to a vote. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move into our update of the program. Mr. Couch.
Mr. Chairman, regarding construction, we have 23 schools, ongoing construction. 8 of those are scheduled to be completed in the August-October timeframe. 28 schools are in design. All architectural contracts are complete except for the downtown elementary. 8 of those are scheduled to bid in August through October. Those include Sequoia that we heard about today on August 3rd, Northwest Classen, which we heard about today, on August 10th, and Eugene Fields, which we heard about today, on August 17th, and then Buchanan on August 24th, Johnson on August 31st, Prairie Queen on September 14th, Hawthorne on September 21st, and Belle Isle on October 26th. So a pretty healthy schedule coming up over the next 3 months. The number of construction projects will remain consistent over the next year. As projects are completed, new projects will be bid and will begin construction. The number of design projects will begin to decrease this fall since all the projects are now underway. Several projects currently in construction have been delayed due to recent weather events. Staff is working closely with the district as many of these are scheduled to open for the new school year. Alternate arrangements are being made to ensure successful and safe school openings. Program implementation plan amendment is prepared and scheduled for the trust consideration next week. That will include various projects, construction amendments to reflect actual bid amounts. On Emerson, we'll move that from bond to sales tax in accordance with the approved project requirements. On alternative schools, we'll remove this program to assist in funding of Emerson for additional scope of work. You'll recall that was a separate project, and now we're going to do more work over at Emerson to accommodate that program. And then Dunbar will be removed from the program at the district's request. Downtown Elementary School was discussed at the school board meeting 2 weeks ago. I guess it was a little over a week ago, and it will be back on for consideration on Monday, July 19th, and it's scheduled for trust consideration then the following day on July 20th. The next trust meeting is next week, so it's again next Tuesday on July 20th, and it is a significant agenda. We have 2 reports, 2 final plans, 7 change orders, and 8 contracts. So we're kind of in high production mode right now. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the trustees may have.
Any questions?
That's what the consultant will assist in that process.
Are the presentations that we get, are they the same as the school board gets for the most part?
Yes, for the most part.
They are, and I would just call it attention. What they don't do during the meetings is they don't normally present them. They have them in their packets. We do make the consultants available upon request, but I do believe they pre-review those more than they have them during their own meeting.
Any further questions? All right, any comments from trustees, staff, or citizens? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.